Welcome to the audiovisual program, Classified Collective Bargaining Agreement 2023 through 2026, between the Greater Albany Public School District 8J and Greater Albany Association of Classified Employees. This is Article 19, Layoffs. 19.1. The Board of Directors will approve the layoff of any employee. Notice of not less than 2 weeks shall be provided to employees to be laid off. While the district reserves the right to determine positions to be eliminated, layoffs shall be determined as follows. A. No permanent employee shall be laid off within a job classification until all probationary employees in their first 6 months of district employment in such classification have been laid off. B. Within a job classification where positions are going to be eliminated, the least senior employee within that classification shall lose the position. For the purpose of determining seniority in this section B, all service to the district in that job classification will be counted. C. Any employee to be laid off who has experience in a lower paid classification within that employee's same job category and who has more seniority than another employee in the lower paid classification can bump into that classification. For the purpose of determining seniority in this section C, all service to the district in that job category will be counted. D. Any employee to be laid off after B and C have been followed may retreat to a position formerly held in a different job category if the employee has more total seniority than another employee in that category. For the purpose of determining seniority in this section D, all service to the district in an equal or higher paying job will be counted. E. Notwithstanding A through D above, the district reserves the right to lay off out of order of seniority if retention of special job skills is required. If the district applies this section to a layoff out of order of seniority, it will notify the association in writing. This notification shall include what special job skills are required and an explanation of why. The notification will be sent to the association prior to the notification of layoff. If the association does not believe that the job skill explained in the notification meets the understanding of the parties as to what a special job skill is, the association may use the grievance procedure to challenge this decision, and the arbitrator shall have the authority to overturn the decision to lay off out of order of seniority. F. Employees laid off at the end of the school year shall receive insurance benefits through the end of August. Employees laid off during a mid-year period shall receive insurance benefits through the end of the month in which they are laid off. 19.2. When all members of a classification are laid off as a result of complete elimination of that type of service, or when an employee is no longer physically able to perform the requirements of their job as a result of a job-related injury or illness, employees in that situation shall meet with the Human Resources Department to provide information about their skills, so that the Human Resources Department may determine what other classifications they are qualified to fill. They may subsequently submit additional information to the Human Resources Department about changes in their qualification for other classifications. If the employee does not have bumping rights under 19.1, A to F above, then the employee shall be placed in or recalled to any vacancy they are qualified to fill. Total district seniority shall apply to recall rights. 19.3. A layoff shall be defined as the reduction of the entire position held, or a reduction in hours greater than 30 minutes, or a reduction that causes loss of eligibility for these benefits: vacation, insurance, or PERS. It shall be a layoff if eligibility for negotiated insurance premiums is reduced from 100% negotiated premiums to 50% negotiated premiums, or from 50% negotiated premiums to no negotiated premiums. Hours that are added to an employee's schedule on a limited term basis, in other words, for an experimental program or short-term need, for a maximum of 10 months, and clearly identified as limited term hours, may be deleted without becoming a layoff. Involuntary reduction in hours shall be cumulative from year to year, beginning with 1993 to 94, when an employee loses enough time to exceed 30 minutes of their original hours. The rights of this article shall apply. A reduction in the length of time of a bus driver's route bid by more than 30 minutes for more than 10 working days shall be considered a layoff, triggering the provisions of this article. When an employee loses 15 to 30 minutes of time and it is not considered a layoff, they may have those minutes restored under the following conditions. A. Additional time has been given to the building and the supervisor decides to increase time in the employee's classification. B. Rights to the restoration of these minutes shall be for 13 months. C. If time can only be restored to one person, it shall be given to the most senior if all else is equal. All else equal shall mean that the individuals are in the same classification. Both lost time are in the same building. There are no special skills required, and both schedules allow the time to be restored. D. If any individual is offered the additional time and turns it down, all rights to restoration are ended. An employee who has lost time under this section may request consideration for overtime within their same job, classification, and site. In this case, the supervisor will accommodate this request when possible. When an employee loses time from their workday due to a reduction, the supervisor will provide in writing a list of job duties that the employee is no longer to perform. 19.4. An employee who has bumping rights under this article shall be placed in the position held by the least senior employee in that job classification, except where special job skills need to be retained. See Section 19.1e. If that position has more hours than the bumping employee previously worked, the district may or may not choose to assign the bumping employee the extra hours. B. If that position has fewer hours than the bumping employee previously worked, the district will reduce the work hours of the next least senior employee in order to replace the full number of work hours of the bumping employee. The bumping employee may agree to take a lesser number of hours than the district has offered, but this will waive the employee's recall rights to the former number of hours. 19.5. If an employee holds two different positions concurrently in two different job classifications, decisions about reduction in force will be made separately for each part of the employment, in accordance with the provisions above. 19.6. Employees shall be recalled by seniority as openings become available within their pre-layoff classification or a lower-paid classification within the same category for which they are qualified, or within another classification they have previously held in the district and remain qualified for. Employees on the recall list, because they were unable to perform the requirements of their previous job due to a job-related injury or illness, will have recall rights to any vacancy they are qualified to fill. No new employees will be hired into classifications from which employees are laid off, and for which they remain qualified and eligible for recall. 19.7. For the purposes of this article, qualified means being able to demonstrate the skills and abilities necessary to perform the duties of the position. 19.8. When the district identifies a position during layoff as one that requires special skills, and therefore the layoff must be out of order of seniority, see Section 19.1e, the district may choose to recall out of order of seniority for that position if the special skills are still required. 19.9. Employees will be notified of the open position by certified mail, return receipt, sent to the last address given by the employee to the district office. The employee will have 5 working days from the receipt of such notice to notify the district of intent to return on the date specified by the district, but return will be required no sooner than 2 weeks from the receipt of the notice. Employees failing to accept the position offered in a timely manner, the maximum being 5 working days from receipt of notice, shall be considered to have waived the right to recall. An employee who refuses a position with lesser hours may remain on the recall list. 19.10. Layoff status shall automatically terminate 27 months after the effective date of such layoff. 19.11. Employees on layoff will, upon request, be placed on a substitute list. Employees on the recall list may also apply for higher paying positions than the position held prior to layoff. 19.12. Employees choosing to bump into positions with lesser hours or lower pay shall retain all recall rights. 19.13. Probationary employees who are laid off and later recalled shall retain all credit for months of the probationary period already worked. However, no recalled probationary employee will achieve regular status without serving at least 2 months in the position filled after recall. Regular post-probationary employees who are laid off and later recalled shall retain regular status. 19.14. Employees who are laid off and later recalled shall retain all sick leave accumulated up to the date of layoff. They shall be placed upon the salary schedule at the step they occupied at the time of layoff or on the next higher step, in accordance with Section 25.9, if laid off after finishing 6 months or more of a fiscal year. 19.15. For purposes of computing seniority only, the SEA classification shall be divided into two groups, SEA1 and SEA2. SEA1. These SEAs are those employees who were formerly program assistants and were renamed as SEAs in the 1996 through 1999 contract. Their most recent hire date as PAs shall be used to calculate their SEA1 seniority. For the purposes of layoff, these SEA1s can also bump into the SEA2 classification. SEA2. These SEAs are those employees who were formerly education assistants and were renamed as SEAs in the 1996 through 1999 contract. These SEA2s shall have their SEA2 seniority computed using their most recent hire date as EAs. This classification of SEA2 shall also include all SEAs hired as SEAs since July 1, 1996. Their SEA seniority shall be computed using their most recent hire date as an SEA. 19.16. Employees who are laid off and subsequently reinstated shall retain accumulated seniority for all periods worked except for the period of layoff.